Hello, everybody. Welcome back from the break. Hope you can all find your seats quickly. Right, everyone's looking pretty comfortable, so could we all introduce our new speaker to the stage, Quentin de Warren.
Hello. Well, thanks for coming. I'm Quentin, and I'm an illustrator and a concept artist for like 10 years now. And yeah, I hope you will get something from this little talk. Today, I wanted to share some thoughts about my process when creating an illustration. It's an industrial process. It's meant to be more of a backbone to your own process and not an exact procedure to be followed every time. But yeah, I think it's a solid way to progress in the creation of an illustration, kind of a foolproof way to do that in a professional setting, because you can grab feedbacks as long as you progress and not be surprised at the end by client feedbacks or anything. And you're sure to get something in the end with this process. One more word, I would say, it's a solid process, but for personal work and just for your creativity, I'd suggest to do something else. Sometimes do pictures without process sometimes, or just mess up with your process just to test things and experiment things, and not to be stick to the process every time, because I don't think it's good. So yeah, what about this process for creating illustrations? The idea behind it is to split the problem of creating full painting into tiny problems, because it can be overwhelming when you're painting a picture, because you have so much to think about. You have your drawing, your values, your colors, and you have to tell a story with that. So it can be a bit too much. And the idea here is to take everything, every part separately, like to do a line work, to think about your values, your compositions, and also think later about your colors, and in the end, mix it up to do your final painting. So yeah, it's just a method of solving your visual problems one at a time and not be overwhelmed. And yeah, I think one thing to note is at each step of the process, be it the drawing or the values or the colors, is to think narrative first. Like, you have to tell a story. It's what an illustration is meant to be. It's just to tell a story, or to complete a story or written text or something like that. It's all about the story. So it's what you have to keep in mind through your process. So that brings me to the first step of it. Like, you have your idea or a brief or something, and at this stage, generally, I just like to do some doodles, try some ideas, try some dynamics in my picture. When I do that, I try to think of two things. First thing, I try to think of the flow of my picture, like the dynamic of lines that I will have underneath my composition. Like you can see for this little sketch, I tried to stick to a kind of spiraling dynamic, and even at this stage, you will tell a different story with different line dynamics. Like a picture that will be mostly made of horizontal lines will appear more quiet. That's something that is spiraling, or when you have lines converging to a point, like it's like maybe more ominous. That's something that is calm. It could be a kind of landscape with horizontal lines all everywhere, and this it will be maybe more of a confusing picture. Like here, I wanted to just tell a little story of a guy obviously in trouble with these little insects, and and the idea is just to get a nice flow in your picture, and maybe a flow that is complementing your story. And obviously, it can be partly dependent of your cultural background, because one obvious example would be the reading direction. Like not everyone has this. I have the same reading direction around the world. So just something to keep in mind. It's not that important, and because I think the main thing to think about when you do your picture is contrast of shapes and forms. It can be anything. It can be like tiny things, multiple tiny things, versus big forms, big shapes, or like empty parts of your picture versus full parts, or it can be just a big thing against a little thing, and just contrast of form to keep the eye engaged and have something interesting at an abstract level in your picture. It can be just the same thing repeating at different scales, like tiny, medium, and big. Just something that is making your picture nice to look at, even if it's just doodles. And that's what I was trying to do with the little sketches, like this one. You have more than half of the picture that is full and just a void, and this little guy in the middle. You have that way a contrast, or you have this thing, tiny multiple objects, and a big shape in the middle. Like, just keep in mind, the idea is to have contrasts, and you have the same idea as you go further in the process. Like, you will have contrast of values and of colors, like warm colors versus cool colors, and of values you will have maybe dark things on light backgrounds, and the opposite. So yeah, just think contrast, I'd say. And when I am at this stage, generally, I like to gather some references, kind of like a mood board, with anything that I come up with that will like inspire me to tell my story. Like for this one, I did for the game Humankind, and I had a brief for this one. It was just the idea was to paint an encampment of Swiss mercenaries in the Renaissance. So I had a mood in mind. I wanted my guys to be at sunset and have a kind of a peaceful picture. So I did some doodles, and I gathered references that would help me to tell my story, like just pictures of sky to have an idea of what colors I could use, or what I could describe as to do my sunset, or paintings that I like of military men around the campfire. Just some inspirations, and also maybe more technical references like this one. These are just historical drawing of the uniforms at the time. Anything that could bring up some ideas and stimulate my imagination. Not anything too precise. Like at this stage, I don't gather references of poses or of exact references of, for example, the flags on this picture at the sketching phase. I don't look up for pictures of flags to know how a flag is hanging in the wind. Just big references of mood or something like that. And the same thing for this one. It's a little painting I did, and I had a precise idea, and I wanted a guy in a wheat field, in a warm picture, something peaceful and nice. And yeah, I had in mind this painting that I like. I don't remember the name of the guy. It's Bubnov, the painter, I think. And it's a painting of the fictional character Taras Bulba in the field. And so yeah, it's quite peaceful. You can feel the warmth of the weather, and it's something I wanted in my picture. And just because horses are hard to draw, I just took some references of horses and pictures of lake, like anything that could stimulate my imagination and anything that could prepare me for the difficulties I would have. Like I had this lake in the background, and I had no mental image of what it looked like, so I just gathered a reference to have a rough idea of what I wanted to paint later. So yeah, it's a first mood board, some pictures that I like, some paintings, more or less related to what I want to tell, but anything that could, that could inspire me. It's kind of, a tiny mood board. And after that, I have like a quick sketch, a little line, something relatively clean that I can paint on. And at this stage, it's time to think of my value plan. Like how do I organize my values in my picture? And one question I like to ask myself when before starting, it's a kind of a really simple question. It's like, do I want my picture to happen in the light territory or the shadow territory? It's not. It sounds a bit, maybe a bit mystic, but it's not. It's really simple. I just put two examples of what I wanted to say. Two pictures of 20th century illustrator Herbert Denton, and the picture on the left is what I'd say is a picture happening in the shadows, because everything you need to see, like the details of the horse, the guy, and what he's wearing, anything you need to see to understand the story. And so every mid-tone in the picture, every nuance, everything is in the shadows. In the light, it's just almost a flat background, not much to be seen, just you can guess some cows in the background, but the light is not that interesting. It's just a kind of a wallpaper behind what you want to see in the picture that is in the shadows. And on the other hand, you have a picture happening in the light, because everything you want to see to tell the story is in the light. Even the color of the horses, but the equipment of the guys, their poses, like everything that is important to the picture is in the light. And in the shadows, not much is happening. It's like two values. It's dark gray and black, not much to be seen. And apart from the face of the guy in the background, the face is in the shadows, but you can see it, and it's kind of precise. And it brings a contrast that makes the guy interesting, like he's surrounded by light, and his head is like this dark point is the middle of light. So with that, you can make things stand out. Like your picture is happening in the light, everything is bright, but you have the face of this guy in the shadows, in a kind of a sea of light, and you have a big contrast of values, and it's interesting. And shadows, apart from this guy, are not that important. And I think you can see that also in these two paintings that I like, and two paintings that have different value plans. but also very different moods, like two completely different stories. You had this image happening in the light because the shadows are only dark grays and blacks and nothing to be seen here. But everything you need to see, everything is described in the light. It's quite dark, it's not even white, it's just grays, but the picture is happening in the light. And this one is quite the opposite. Everything you need to see, the guys, the poses, the person in the rubbles, everything is in the shadows and the light is just grays and whites, but nothing happening there. Just a bit of a description of the rebels, but nothing more. And these two value plans are quite different, and they tell different stories. This picture is dark because the story is dark. The picture is meant to describe Nero, the Roman emperor, being brought the head of his first wife at its demand. So the picture is dark and the story is dark, so everything checks out in a way. And this one is a more cheerful painting and with more light because it's describing at the beginning of the 20th century Russian navy helping a city in Sicily that knew recently an earthquake. So they were in the sea and they came to the help of the city. And so it's more of an optimistic picture. It's meant to make the seamen heroic. And I did just quick studies of these two value plans, the light one and the shadow one, just to show you that it's underneath, you have like an abstract and a simple pattern. Like here, you could do that quickly with only 4 values. The shadows is quite simple. It's just dark grays and black. And the light, where everything interesting is happening, is just grays and with a focus with the person bringing the head, where you have your whites next to dark values. So it's an interesting place of the picture. But yeah, you can simplify it to 4 values, and it's the same thing for this one. But everything is happening in the shadows. But you can break it down in 4 values. You have the light with grays and white, and not much more. Maybe some more shades of grays, but nothing really complicated. And the shadows and the opposite is blacks and dark grays, and every midtones, everything interesting is happening in the shadows. And so it's the focus of the picture, and the surrounding is just a background. And you answered that little question, light or shadow. And at this stage, it's time to push your values a bit. I just put 2 more examples because this picture, I like it, so I wanted to put it in my slide. But you can see everything is happening in the shadow, and the light is just a way to complement that big face that is really dark, but everything you need to see is happening there. And on the other hand, you have this really bright picture, and the shadows are kind of compressed because the light is so bright. So you have almost nothing to watch in the shadows, just bright colors, and you can see the skin tones that are really saturated and nice. But apart from that, every midtone is in the light, and so the picture is bright and kind of cheerful, and it's meant to be because you're supposed to want to go to Berlinton when you see that. So it's the value plan serve once again a story. And so you have you have your value plan, what you want to do, what you want to do a dark or light image, and you have a story to tell, so you can push your values further. As I wanted to show in these little studies, like you can tell a lot with values. You can talk about the quality of your light. Like, is it a night scene or a day scene? This one, you can see even with only just values that it's a night scene because everything is so dark, and the light of the moon is quite weak, so the shadows are almost completely dark, and you just have grays in the lighted areas, just grays that are quite dark too, and you understand from that it is a night scene, and it's something you have to think when you do your value plan, like what is the reality of what I want to show? Is it night? And with values, you can also talk about materials, or like here, the guy has an armor, and just by putting a big specular on the sketch, you can describe a material, and from that little point of light, you can say, oh yeah, the guy has something shiny, maybe it's metal, maybe it's an armor. But you can describe more, even really simple things, as even the color of the horse. Is it a dark horse? Is it a light horse? And every tiny detail can serve your composition, and this abstract quality of your painting. Like here, the guy and the horse are important. So in the value plan, you have a dark horse against a light background, so you can see it well. But maybe I would like to tell just the story of the guy, and I don't want the horse to be that important. So maybe I could have put a dark background behind it. And the painter did that a bit. You see the horse. The dark horse is half in the dark background, so it's less important in the picture than the guy, who is mostly on the light background. And by describing the reality of your setup, you can have ideas for your composition. Like, if you want something to stand out, you can just frame it with another value and have a big contrast there. So while describing a story, you also describe materials and quality of light, and you describe, you have that way ideas like leverage to have an interesting composition. And so you have all these ideas, so you can go further in your process. You have a bit of a line work, and at this stage, generally, I do little value plans. I did put this one as an example for the wheat field night I showed you some slides ago. And you can see for this one, obviously, I thought, oh yeah, I want my picture to happen in the shadow because the light is so bright. It's compressing all the details in it. But in the shadows, I have the color of my horse. I have some midtones to keep it interesting. I can describe materials, like thanks to the brightness of the armor, you can have the whites that are directly in the shadows, and so you understand that light is reflecting pretty good on the guy, so maybe he's wearing something shiny. And I did the same process with this little sketch. I wanted just to show you, but with the same sketch, you can do a variety of value plan. Like you can do a night scene. So as I showed you, night scene, I tried to keep the light really dark and the shadows even more dark. the only light gray in the shadow is thanks to the color of the horse. I imagined it was white, so okay, I have light grays in my shadows, but apart from that, it's just black and dark grays, and everything is happening in the light, and it's quite dark. And you can describe a lot, and you have a mood in this picture that is quite different from this one, that I wanted to be more cheerful. You have just these three shiny guys in a field that is also shiny, and white fluffy clouds. And the value plan brings much to the story, I think. And I try at this stage to keep it really simple, like I have 3 values here, maybe 4 here, but nothing really complicated. I try to compress as much as possible the scene and break it down in a few values. And I have my little value plan. And from that, generally, I think I don't remember. Yeah, I jump directly to the colors after doing the hardest part. I think that is the value and the most important part. That is the value plan, because your picture will work with good values, and so you can have black and white pictures that are nice on their own. And the color in that is more of an icing on this cake, but you can do without. But if they're not necessary, I think colors can be really useful. It's nice to have colors, because it can bring so much to your story. Like colors spark, how do I put it? Spark an emotional response to whoever views the picture. Like for these examples, these 2 pictures, one of Minium, the other one of Jamie Jones, that is a really talented painter that I really like. And if you don't know him, you should check it out, because he's really good. But you have these 2 pictures with almost the same setup. You have a character in front of a tree in a forest, but they're really, really different, and it's thanks to the colors. Like this picture is a bit ominous and gloomy, because you have all these cold colors, these purples and greens and blues, and it doesn't look nice. And this one, on the contrary, it's the same, almost the same value plan and the same lighting setup, and it's just a guy in front of a tree, but you have dramatically different colors, really earthy ones. You have ochres and yellow greens and browns and some oranges. So the mood is really different, and really, really more optimistic in a way than this one, that is really, really morbid. And it's the same thing with that. It's a painting where mostly cold colors are used, but with a twist, so it appears more cozy and nice. Some people call this kind of color arrangement healing colors, with magentas and cyan, and you have all nuances of blues, like you have purple blues and green blues and all cold colors, but that together are really, really comfortable to look at. And everything is complemented by the cozy light of the candles of warm yellows and oranges. So the picture, despite having almost only cold colors, is quite nice to look at and has a really cozy mood. And yeah, in each time you have a play with warm and cool colors, and the concept is quite simple. You just take a color wheel and you cut it by half, and on one side you will have warm colors, and on the other side cool colors. And when you do your colors, you play with that. You put warm colors, like here, against cold colors. So you keep the eye engaged. It's interesting because there is contrast between warm and cool. And yeah, it's a constant play of warm and cool. And yeah, and one thing to keep in mind is color relativity. Like to have this play of warm color, and cool color, you don't have to use all the color wheel in each picture because it would be too much. But you can play with color relativity. It's really simple. Like the grays will appear next to cool colors. Your neutral colors will appear warm. And on the other side, the grays next to warm colors will appear cool. And yeah, you play with cool and warm. Even if you use only warm colors, you can still make shifts in temperatures. Like some cold colors, like the cyan, can appear warm next to another blue. Magentas are pretty good for that. Like the middle of the color wheel, you have warm and cool colors, but the frontier is a bit blurry because you can have warm magentas and cool magentas, and you can play with that. Same thing with the greens. You have warm greens with a hint of yellow in them that will appear warm next to other kinds of green, like blue greens or just plain greens. And it's the same story with warm colors. You can have oranges that will appear warmer than, let's say, a magenta or a red that is a bit desaturated. And yeah, and I think the main thing with colors is just to keep shift in temperatures in mind and play with that. When the more the further you go, the further nuances of warm and cool you can use to keep the picture interesting. And so yeah, you have your, at this stage I have my line work, a little value plan, and generally I like to go with some color sketches. Before doing the final painting, I like to sort the colors out and to have something I know I can go further with and I can finish my painting with. So once again, I use the example of the guy. I did that. It's a traditional painting that I did at the end, but I did my preparation work with digital and Photoshop because it's way more simple and you can do it infinitely. There is no problem. And so yeah, it's cool colors against warm colors. It's the same principle each time. And I did some examples with these 4 little sketches. It's really, really quick to do. Like I spent no more than like 15, 20 minutes maybe on each, just to have a mood in place and a color scheme. And yeah, I tried to bring different stories with each sketch. Like this one is maybe a bit more hostile because you have these red and magentas, and it's not nice. And you can wonder what's happening in the background. Is there fire? Are the guy running from the fire? Or it tells a different story than this one. When I try to use the so-called healing colors, I use nice greens and blue greens and a yellow nice light in the background. And this one appears way more peaceful than this one, in my opinion. Of course, maybe you think otherwise, but that's the principle I try to follow when I do my sketches. And I put on the side little gamuts. Maybe you know about them, but it's simple. A gamut is just a sort of a cache that you put on your color wheel, and what what you have left is the colors you will be using in your picture, and it's a nice tool when maybe you're not really familiar with colors or color wheel in general, and it can be a bit overwhelming. And using a gamut can keep you on tracks. And you have some shapes of gamuts that are known and that work almost every time. Like you can use complementary colors. It's just a straight line that goes through your gamut. You have one color and it's complementary, and you can use everything and it works. Like it will be nice to look at. Or you can do like this one is what you can call a split complementary color. So you have your color, and instead of using its complementary, you will use analogous color of the complementary. Like here it would be cyan, but instead of cyan I used green and blue, and I have a gamut that is working. And you have some shapes of gamut that are working. You can use them quite confidently. And yeah, it's a nice tool to have. I say it's more of an help. Like, obviously, you could use no gamut at all and do something that is really good. But when you're not sure and when you're maybe a bit overwhelmed by all the possibilities, it's nice to have this little tool to keep you restricted in your choice of colors, and to have a color palette that will look harmonious. It's a nice tool to have. And I did more sketches for the daylight scene, and this time too I tried to bring different mood. This one I restricted my saturated colors as much as possible. The only hint of saturation is bright red, and you can see only splashes of it on the reins of the horses. But for the rest of the picture, I wanted something to be to bring the feeling of scorching temperatures and a really bright light that is erasing all kind of colors from the environment. Like, your sun is so bright, you have to squint your eyes and you can see anything. And so you have like these gray blues in the sky and gray greens. Everything is gray, really. And you have almost no colors, but on what I wanted to be my focus, and it's the guys. So I have put some hints of bright colors here, but nothing more. And here I did quite the opposite. I wanted this picture to be like more of a fairy tale illustration. So I used bright and vivid colors from all around the color wheel. Like you have bright green, bright yellow greens, and blue greens, and you have blue greens, and like. You get the idea. Like I wanted to use much more colors to have something maybe believable, but a bit enhanced to look like a sort of a fairy tale. And with colors you can bring a lot to your picture and to your story and what you want to tell. And the idea by playing with the warm colors and cool colors, you can have interesting pictures. And by selecting what will be the dominant, like dominant cold or warm, you can set up a really distinctive mood in your picture. And that's the thing with colors. But it wouldn't work if the values were not okay. So I think the priority when you have your line work is to have a solid value plan, and after that you can do almost anything with colors. With colors, it will work. Maybe it won't be super cool, but it will work. And so I have at this stage like a little drawing of what I want to do. I sorted out values and colors, so I have a plan. And And if you're in a professional setting, you go to the validation and you present your color sketches, etc., to your client. And if everything goes well, you will not have any more surprises until the end of your process. And that is the aim and the goal of doing things separately. So from here, you can go further and just do the final painting. For this one, this painting, I followed the process like by the letter. I did my value plan and my color plan, and when I was happy with that, and what I do in general is just I do a sort of a clean line to my final painting, to nothing fancy. It's not a line art. It's not really nice. I don't play with the weight of the line. It's just shapes. So I know where I have to put my colors and my paint, and a coloring book in a way. And at this stage, I will use precise references. I didn't put my I have a big pure ref with all the references I used. But at this stage, I will use pictures of flags just to know what a flag in the wind looks like, because I have a rough idea. But to do a precise drawing, I have to use references. And same thing with the clothes of the guy. Like, how does it look like? I have a rough idea, but when I don't know, I have to use references and just to know what I need to describe. And so I do my sort of clean line slash line art, my final line, and after that, I do the final painting. And you still will have little challenges along the way, like. You will have to think about how do I keep this big fat plain shape interesting. So I did put blues that were warmer, but you will have little problems to solve. But the backbone of your picture, that is the value plan and the color plan, is set up so you can go further in a more relaxed way and add little details, like do sort of the rendering. It's not that much rendered because I don't like to do render, but you just go to the final painting. You had little details like the smoke under the cooking pot, or little flowers. Like, your plan is set up, so you can go further and relax, and that maybe the most enjoyable part of the painting, when you solved your problems and you're ready to just go for the finish. And I think I'm done. Like it's all the process, and if you have question, go for it. I think we have some minutes to do that.
We have some time left for some questions if anybody would like to ask.
And thank you for listening, and I hope it was interesting. Thank you.
Hi. I just wanted to ask you about your process when painting with gouache.
Yeah.
Because I've started learning and it feels like super hard compared to traditional. To digital.
Yeah. It's a bit harder because you have less room for error. Like in digital, you can repeat the thing infinitely and it has no consequences. But when you paint, especially gouache, you can pile up layers infinitely, because at some point with water, all your layers will mix up and it will end up quite muddy, and you will have to start again. And I think that is a cool thing about gouache, is you have to think ahead, not to be surprised, and you have to know where are you going, at least roughly. If not, because you can come back to your painting infinitely. So when it's done, and you have to live with it in a way. So yeah, it's a bit harder, I think, than digital because you have less room for mistakes and errors. But if you enjoy it, I mean, it's a main thing. But yeah, the learning curve is a bit steep at the beginning. You just have to learn how painting will react together, how it will react with water, even the paper you use that will have a big impact of your final result. And it's a whole new world to explore compared to digital. That is another world to explore. When you never did digital, it can be a bit overwhelming because, especially in Photoshop, you can do so much different things, and you have to learn the basics again of your medium. And I'm not sure I answered your question, but
I wanted to ask about your work for humankind because when I look at it, like you don't really have any soft edges. Like even the softest transition in value seems like a defined shape.
Yeah, it was the artistic direction of the game. It was like no soft edges, just flat colors.
Yeah,
and,
but
at the end, it ended up with kind of a funny aspect because we tried to do soft and gradients, but with only hard edges. So you have these little stratification of colors, and it has quite a funny way of looking. But like I don't have the pictures, but in the end, I ended up cheating sometimes and using soft edges, like in the pictures I just showed you. You have some soft parts, and because only hard parts is a bit complicated when it comes to. So like thank you. Like here, it's soft, and the more we went with the artistic direction of the game, the more we used soft edges because it's way nicer that way. But yeah, mostly it's meant to be only hard edges and flat colors. And
I just wanted to know, like, how do you find, like, how do you go about it? Like, do you do like a normal painting and then you like define the shapes?
No. The idea is just to, on the contrary, generally I will do flat colors with no work on the edges. So it will be like when. For some years, I did studies of movie frames and things like that, and the exercise was to everything with flat and opaque round brush. So you had no mixing up of colors. The idea behind it was to guess the good color and the good value immediately. And so it's more natural for me just to go flat, and after that to add a bit of soft and transparency.
Do we have any others? Yep.
Hello. So are you always thinking about the gamut that you want to use before you start an image, or it's just you're finding the colors as you go that work and you have that internalized?
Sorry, I did not heard you.
Are you intentionally thinking and choosing a gamut before you start an image? Or are you finding the colors as you go, and sort of you've internalized what those gamuts should look like?
It depends. No, I think I don't preset in a way my gamut before doing my paintings. But for some years, when I was with less confidence, I would decide of a gamut before doing the painting. But now I do that way more instinctively, and I do my stuff, and it ends up in a gamut because I use the tool for so much time in a really strict manner. No, I do that without preparing a gamut. Like I do that way more instinctively now. But for some years I did my gamut. I prepared it. I tried to think about my gamut. What do I want to feature in my picture? will it be warm colors, etc. And so yeah, I did think of my gamuts ahead. Yeah.
I think we've got time for one more quick question, if anyone has it. If not, let's all put our hands together for Quentin and say thank you once more.
Thank you.